Hello, welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for either watching for the first time or continuing to watch as I explore, document, and present my world of pens. You see in front of you the Santini Libra, which I recently reviewed. And the nib didn't work as well as I'd hoped it would. And my feeling was that there was something miss. Could have been the ink. Santini saw the video, recommended I use a Pelikan ink, and voila, here we are. So I'll take you through those steps that I did to clean the pen out. But I first thought we would visit this pen and see how that nib now performs with just a basic ink. Yes, Pelikan 4001 Blue Black. Nice small bottle. It's an ink I haven't used much, so now we have a chance to see how it works. Let's put nib to paper. Well, no more skipping. So the Pelikan ink definitely works better in this Superflexy nib than the Lamy Crystal ink. I've written for a few hours a number of pages with this ink in this pen, and it now performs fairly flawlessly. You can still railroad it, but that's not uncommon with a nib like this, and just got to write a little slower, but it just lays down now a nice line all the time. So I appreciate the feedback. Santini got back to me immediately, recommended this ink, and they were right, which is what I expected based on the writing that I saw in the writing sample that they included with the pen. So let's go through how I cleaned it out and how we got to this point. In order to really clean out this piston fill pen, it's nice to unscrew the nib assembly, and it appears that there was silicone grease used when it was originally put together by Santini, so I will do the same when I reassemble this after I flush everything and change out that ink to the Pelikan Blue Black at the suggestion of Santini. So what's nice when you remove the nib assembly is you can thoroughly clean out. Trying to show you that piston down there. I have it retracted a little bit from its all the way down position. And I've flushed out the nib assembly, so everything is nice and clean, ready to put in a new ink, and I didn't have to use the filler to do the cleaning because I removed the nib assembly. I've now brought the piston all the way down, and you can see it sitting there. So when I reassemble it, it's just ready to retract that piston to fill up the pen. I'm going to try to show the softness of this nib so we can put it in perspective. It's a line with no pressure, and then as we put a little bit of pressure on, you can see how easily that nib opens up. And we'll do my classic. I'm not holding the nib my normal way because I want to have the camera capture what the nib is doing. Now we're going to compare this against just a Waterman number 2 pen in a black ebonite 52. So this is a 52 I've had inked up for a while. It's in decent condition, decent shape. I recently refilled it. It has Diatramenis sepia ink in it. And I just wanted to show you how this nib performs. You can see the line is about the same. The Waterman might be a little bit wider, but with the same amount of pressure, you can see how it opens up. And the Santini nib does a good job of holding its own. I tried to use the same amount of pressure for both of these writings. So based on that, I would say that, and as you can see, you can get this to railroad if you don't do it right. But if you do it softly, it lays down a nice wide line. If we take out the Santini Superflex, we'll see how that opens up, and we'll see that it still has, that ink has a little bit of issues trying to stay cohesive between the tines, but that's again more a function of the ink than anything else. And also, you know, you got to kind of get the feed primed so you can see what it does. I enjoy the nib. As a modern flex nib, I think it's as good as any. I love this nib. I have to admit that I thought a little bit about what nib I wanted to get. I obviously wanted to try the Superflexy, but this is as soft as the Superflexy, and without any pressure on it, it writes very, very well. But then if you put pressure on it, it opens up, and it's same amount of pressure that I put on the Superflexy, and I think you get a little bit of a broader line. It certainly is wetter. So this is a super nib. One of the best, it is the best modern nib I've ever written with. We're going to look at it a little bit more closely. So now we're going to try the same angle, and we have the CI nib now in the Santini. Does a fine line when you're going in this direction, and in this direction it just opens up very well. I'm impressed with this nib. It just works very, very well. I like it better than the Superflexy. Part of the reason is because with this grind, you can get some natural line variation just from the way the nib is ground, but then when you put a little pressure on it, it'll open up. So this is an 11 nib. You can see how wet this is. It is wetter than the Superflexy. And I'm okay with that because most vintage flex is also very wet. This nib is going to stay in my Santini Libra for a long time. We've reached the end of this revisit of the Santini. Hopefully you've enjoyed the fact that it now writes as I expected. It's just a joy. Every time I pick it up, I feel great. and the color and everything else just really speaks to me and makes me smile. For my first expensive pen, I'm very, very happy. And I'm pretty certain this is the most money I've ever spent on a pen. Will I buy expensive pens in the future? Well, never say never. Thank all of you for tuning in. Hopefully, you're finding pens that you fall in love with and enjoy. At least you can enjoy my videos where I talk about pens I enjoy. That's a start. Hope you are putting ink on paper. Blank pieces of paper certainly are not as interesting as papers that have ink on them. Inky Rocks does a great job at doing that. All of you are safe, healthy, and happy. We've reached the end of this video. No more skipping of the Santini pens. Pelikan ink works well. I'm certain I will try other inks in the future, but this will be a combo that'll be used for many letters, correspondence, my journal. That's what it's made for. We're going to say bye until the next video. What a wonderful nib. Modern but vintage characteristics put together.